So hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. But today we're taking a look at what I've been working on in February, so grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. So welcome back to any returning viewers and to any new viewers, a very warm welcome to you. As I mentioned in the opening to the video, we're taking a look at what I've been working on in February this week. So before we get into that, let's get started with what I am wearing. This is my Sheridan sweater. It's got these lovely balloon sleeves. I've made it in this mustardy ochre melange sweatshirting and coordinating ribbing from Minerva. I have actually made a coordinating pair of joggers. So I sometimes wear it as a full tracksuit. I'm wearing it with jeans today and it's lovely like that. I've also worn it to work French tucked into my cord trousers, which looked rather snazzy if I do say so myself. I actually felt like I fitted in with our 18-year-old student helpers that we have at work as well. So that's always a plus. So that's what I'm wearing. It's comfy, it's cozy. It's got this nice sort of funnel neckline. There's various different options for how to do this sweatshirt in the pattern, so it's very much a sort of pick your own adventure type pattern, which is good. I can see me making more of them eventually, but this one is doing the job for now. So moving swiftly on to finished objects, and I just have the one finished object to show you today, and it's one that's been taking up a vast amount of knitting time. Now this is finished and it's been washed and laid flat to dry. I didn't pin it out to block it because I was happy with the fit before washing it, so I don't want to sort of do a heavy block on it. I want to be quite gentle with it. So it was laid flat to dry. I've done everything apart from trimming off the ends. It's only come off the area this morning. So this is my long line cardi by Hohi Locatelli. It's in yarn that I've dyed myself. So I've knit it up in 100% superwash merino, and I have used my first attempt at dyeing at the top, and then my second attempt to dye the same colourway has been blended in as we work down the garment. Now you'll notice that there are a few creases and wrinkles in this. This is because I laid it flat to dry on the air. I didn't even put it on blocking mats or anything, so it probably wasn't as flat as it could have been, but that's fine. They'll drop out, and if they don't, I can steam it with the iron. It's fine. So this particular pattern is mostly stocking stitch, so I've done an awful lot of reading whilst working on this cardigan. I did modify the sleeves because they just seemed really long in the pattern, so I didn't do all of the decrease rounds and did some rapid decreases before the cuff and knit the cuff longer than it said in the pattern, just to fit me. And like I say, before I soaked it, the fit was good. So you know what, let's pop it on and see how it fits now that it's been soaked and laid flat to dry. So I'm just going to pop it on and show you how it looks, and I will probably have to put in a full length picture for you as well, so that you can see how it is all the way down, because it is a long cardigan. Okay, so bear with me a sec. Okay, so this is an open front cardigan. So you see I've got the sleeves to stop just at my wrist. I do like sleeves that come over the hands, but I do tend to push them up quite a lot, and as I'm planning to wear this to work, finishing actually at my wrists was a more appropriate length for me. I did a total of 15 decreased rounds as written in the pattern, and then rapid decreased just before the cuff, and I'm happy with that length. As it is superwash, they will probably stretch a little bit over time. But yeah, I'm really pleased with the length of those. It's sitting just at the base of my hands. I've done an Italian tubular bind off on the cuffs and on the hemline as well. So yeah, the length is pretty long. It's covering my bottom, which is obviously not in frames. As I say, I will put in a picture of it full length for you. And it is a fairly loose fit on the body with these fitted sleeves. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. I just need to deal with these ends. And in this colourway, it works really well with the cord trousers that I quite often wear to work. I wear a lot of browns and neutrals and sort of rusty colours. So this is going to really fit in nicely to that. And I'm really pleased with how I've managed to fade the colours together. Because the first batch that I dyed, I had just 2 skeins in the pan, so the colours had more space to move around. So they've muddied a bit more and become a bit more muted for those 2 skeins. And the second attempt, I had 5 skeins in the pan, so the colours stayed put a little bit more. And it's actually, this is more the colourway that I was aiming for with the dye job. So really pleased with this version. I'm referring to this as Muse of Fire, which is a Henry V quote from Shakespeare. So I am really pleased with this. I think long line cardigans are always handy, particularly as we move into spring and then move out of summer into autumn again. Those times of year they're really useful. So when you don't really want a jacket, but you need some sort of layer. So so this will be getting worn to work. I'll be getting worn around the house, and I've been meaning to knit a long line cardi for quite a while. So not necessarily this specific pattern. It just happens that it's called long line cardi, but I find that longer length is very useful in my wardrobe. So pleased with that. I'm calling it finished because literally all I have to do is trim the ends of the yarn that I've already woven in, because I did that before I washed it. So that's my finished object. Just the one. As I say, this has been getting a lot of love because I can read and knit stocking stitch at the same time. So I'm just going to put my glasses back on. Actually, you're a little bit fuzzy over there. So I'm a little bit short-sighted. That's better. I can see you now. I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm on to about book 20 for the year so far. Mostly because of this project being a long stocking stitch project. It's been really good for that sort of thing. Which does mean that I haven't finished anything else this month, which is fine. It's not a problem. This was cast on over the Christmas break. I think it was New Year's Eve cast on. Might have been New Year's Day. It was either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. The one that I cast on the other one of those 2 days is still on the needles. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I do need another project to replace this one that I can read with. I can sort of do it with socks, but the socks I'm doing are not pure socks. Let me get on to that when I get to those particular projects. So, works in progress. Let's take a look at my other New Year cast on. So if this was New Year's Eve, this one was New Year's Day, but it might have been the other way around. This is the Barragan pattern, which was a knit along in the Knitter magazine. So the yarn came as a kit as part of my subscription. To be fair, I got the subscription because of this pattern and the yarn, so hey. So it's a 4-part pattern in the Knitter. I'll put the number of the issue for the first part, which is the part I'm still working on screen for you. So this is a lace pattern. So this is like a chatelaine lace. I was about here-ish last time I showed it to you, I believe. This is 3 repeats of the chart for this section. So I need to do another 2/3 of a repeat to complete this section, and then I can move on to the next section, which will be joining in the second colour. The yarn is by Macintosh. It's hand-dyed BFL. I don't know which way around the 2 colours go in terms of their names. I think one's called My Joy and one's My Serenity, something like that. Put the names on screen for you if I can find them. So that's the colour I'm working with at the moment. The second section that I'll be working on is in this colour. So that'll be coming up soon. Obviously, I'm not reading whilst knitting on lace. I've actually got a ball band here. So My Joy and My Serenity. I was right for the colourways. So I'm knitting on the lace during the day. It is going a bit slower because I want to read. Or I'm sewing. That's the other thing I've been doing a lot of. So that is my other New Year time cast on. It's living in this fat face bag that came with a Christmas present in it a few years ago. I think it was a Christmas present from like the half. So that is a daytime project. My other properly daytime project is my sewing. So I am currently working on a dress to take on honeymoon with me. We're getting married in July. So I'm getting my honeymoon formal dress done first before I do some of the wedding makes. I'm not doing too many wedding makes. and I have backup plans for wedding makes in case they don't work or they take too long. So I'm working on a dress for formal night because we're going on a cruise for honeymoon. I didn't have anything that sort of fit to the bill, so I'm focusing on getting the fit right at the minute and working on my toiles for it. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you'll have seen a couple of videos already on toiling and modifying the pattern to make my honeymoon dress. I've got probably 2 more videos before that project is complete. So finishing up the toile and then making up the actual finished dress. I mean, if I can get them done in the space of 1 video, I will. But realistically, my sewing time is not as much at the moment as it would normally be because I'm planning a wedding. We went and gave notice yesterday as filming. In the UK, you have to give notice of marriage at least 28 days before the wedding, so we're in plenty of time for that. We've done it a little bit early because we're getting married in a different county to where we live, so we're dealing with 2 different registrar's offices. But you can give notice like 12 months ahead of time, so there's lots of flexibility there. But that's the first sort of legal step in the process for getting married. You can't just sort of rock up at the registry office and do it the same day. It has to be at least 28 days in advance. So that's done. Yeah, so things are moving ahead of pace. We've got a few meetings and things to do with suppliers and venues and that kind of thing. So it does take up a bit more actual physical going places time than I'd anticipated, which is fine because it's all good stuff. But it does mean that I'm being forced to slow down my making a little bit, and that is also not a bad thing, particularly when it comes to sewing. So it's probably going to be a couple of videos realistically in terms of the things that we've got on over the next couple of weeks and over the last week, just fitting it all in. It wasn't likely to all happen in the same week. So that's coming up. I obviously don't have a picture of the honeymoon dress to show you, but I will link to the existing videos on that toile process for you if you haven't seen them. So my other main work in progress at the moment, knitting wise, is this one. And this is a knit along that I'm taking part in. It's being run by the designer who's called Aina, my mama's teddy bear on Instagram and what have you. And this is the Bereket sweater. It's knit sideways, so I'm just trying to work out which way up to show it to you. There we go. So this is my right hand sleeve of my Bereket. So this is in Knit Picks, Wool of the Andes, in Merlot Heather, which is this yarn here. So it's on the brown side of burgundy. It's got variations of tone in there. It's really lovely yarn. It's a sport weight pure wool, Peruvian Highland wool. Obviously I had to order that from the States. Yeah, so this again, I've modified the sleeve length to make it as long as I wanted it to be, because again, I see this as being a spring, autumn garment to throw over things when I don't necessarily want to be wearing a jacket, which is good because it's dolman sleeved and they're going to be a pain to fit into jackets. So yeah, so that's what I'm envisioning for this. So having a slightly longer sleeve than the pattern made sense to me. So I've got up to the shoulder here with these bobbly caterpillar parades coming over there, and I've done the front and the back, middle section, body section, and I'm just about to start another set of caterpillar parades for the left sleeve. So this knit along is being hosted, as I say, by Mama's Teddy Bear and by my friend Patricia, who's part of the same online knitting group as me, which is International Virtual Knit Nights. It's being hosted on Instagram, and there is a Discord to accompany it. So check out the Instagram profiles for Mama's Teddy Bear and for Patricia to get more details of taking part in the knit along. It's quite a long knit along. It's going on till June, I believe. So plenty of time to join if you would like to. It's not a complicated knit. There's knitting backwards going on for the bobbles, and I've done a video on how I'm working the bobbles as well, actually, so I'll link that up top, whichever side it is, as well for you. So we've got bobbles, we've got eyelets, and it's knit from cuff to cuff. So it's an interesting construction, different to anything I've worked before. So I'm actually really enjoying that. And yeah, the body section I was able to knit and read. Not so much the bobbles, but the body I could. So that's my other main whip, which is progressing really nicely. But I have 2 more whips to show you, which haven't had as much progress made. One very understandably. First up, let's have a look at my socks. So these socks are being worked in West Yorkshire Spinners Nutcracker, which was their most recent Christmas colourway. And I'm working them with a ribbed front. When I get to the leg, I'll be ribbing all the way around. So I'm doing a 2x6, 2x4 rib across the top of the foot, and I'll be continuing that round the leg when I get to it. As normal, I am knitting these 2 at a time, toe up. That is my preference. And they're my carry around knitting, so they'll be in my handbag when we're going places. To be fair, I generally knit in public when I'm by myself rather than when I'm with my other half. Just one of those things. And I've got my gingerbread stitch toppers, needle protectors on the end. So these are making slow progress, but they are making progress. And I can knit on these and read because it's a fairly straightforward pattern that I'm using, but I want to do a toe up, heel flap and gusset, which I don't often do. So I need to keep an eye on the length of these. So I'm not doing very much reading whilst knitting on these as of yet. When I get to the leg, I'll knit and read at that point, because then I don't need to worry quite so much about length, as long as they're both sort of the same when they finish, which is why I knit them 2 at a time. That's in the same length. I don't worry about matching up stripes and stuff. And that's all good. So that is my socks. So because I don't have any of my works in progress at the point where I can just sit and knit and read at the moment, because there's bobbles coming up on the barraquette, the barragan is lace, and the socks I'm being cautious to make sure I put the gusset increases in at the right point. I do need another sit and knit and read project, but I've got a couple of things in mind. Ages ago I started a sweater with some leatherback jacquard on it that I was designing myself in Holstgarn. What was it called? Holstgarn Noble, which was Geelong and cashmere yarn. It's a beautiful yarn. Got it in burgundy and charcoal and light grey. But I started it so long ago and didn't finish it that it was no longer going to be in the right size for me. And I didn't have enough yarn for the size that I was going to need to make in the right sort of combination of colours, because I was holding the yarn double. So like, well, I'm going to have to frog it and start over in a different yarn for that sweater, because Holstgarn Noble's been discontinued. So I was like, okay, so I'll frog it. I should have enough of them to do another sweater if I'm not holding the yarn double. So I thought, oh, the colours that I've got, the Garden Gate will work really well in a couple of those colours, which is a Jennifer Steingoss pattern, and it's a beautiful pattern. So I frogged it, checked the yardage on the labels, and realised that now I've got nowhere near enough of what would be the main colour. I've not got anywhere near enough in any of the 3 colours that I have for the main colour of that sweater. So that project is going to be rethought. Find a different sweater that may possibly be a sit and knit and read sweater, because I think it's probably going to have to be something striped. So stocking stitch and striped is going to be fairly straightforward, because the Garden Gate would have to wait till it's past the colour work before I could sit and knit and read. So yeah, best laid plans. But I do have 2 other lots of yarn that were just sitting around waiting to be used. So I have leftover yarn from my Stephen West mystery knit along shawl from just before Christmas, because yardage is always overestimated on those, and because I was using Holstgarn Coast in these colours, I had plenty left over. I have a whole cake of each of these colours and some scraps, so plenty left over of that. So as you can see, I've swatched it up. This is held singly, it's held on its own. It's a light fingering weight yarn, and it's a cotton wool blend. So I figured cotton wool blend, that's going to be great for something to wear in the spring, in the summer. So I decided I would try the Tolster t-shirt, which is a Creabea design. So I swatched in the needle size that she uses. and I got perfect stitch count. My row gauge is way off. Stitch gauge spot on. Row count, yeah, my stitches are much shorter than hers were. So I will be using the numbers for the Tolster tee to knit up a t-shirt in this yarn, probably using this slip stitchy transition between stripes. But I'm going to have to watch the raglan increases quite carefully to make sure that it gets to a good depth for me as I'm shaping it, because my row gauge is so much shorter. So I'm getting more rows to the 4 inches than I need by a long way. So yeah, so once I pass the raglan increases on this project, then I'll be able to sit in it and read with it, because it's a stocking stitch project. So I have cast it on in the lightest shade, and I've done a few rows or a few rounds of 1x1 ribbing for the neckline. So I'm not very far through yet, but that's okay. It's on the go. It's started. So I want to get this to the point where I can just knit round and round and round, and then I'll be able to get on to book number 21, 22, when they're available in the library. So that's that. And now we're kind of segueing into plans. That's technically a work in progress. I've cast it on. But now we're thinking properly plans. What's coming up next? So the other yarn that I had left over was my backup yarn for that Stephen West shawl. So I bought some Holstgarn Super Soft at the same time as I bought the Coast. So Super Soft is pure wool. It's spun in oil, so you have spinning oil on it when it comes. So it really sort of fluffs up and blooms up when you block it after you've knitted it. But that does also mean it very drastically changes shape as you block it. So Holst Super Soft has a reputation for getting wider and shorter when you block it. So bearing that in mind, I decided I would swatch for the Westbury sweater. The name of the designer is escaping me at the moment, so again I will put it on screen. So I swatched all 4 colours that I had, and I've held it with some silk mohair in the almond colourway. I believe it's Drops that I'm using. And this is a lovely looking fabric. I like the way the colours are playing together, but the gauge wasn't right in stitch or in rows after blocking. Because obviously I wanted to block it to see how the yarn was going to behave with the mohair, and it hasn't changed as drastically with the mohair in as it has done for me when I've just had Super Soft on its own. So we'll see what happens when it's actually in a garment, but as a swatch it did shift a little bit, but it hasn't shifted anywhere near as much as it does for me on its own. So that bodes well, but the gauge was off in both row and stitch count. So I re-swatched with one of the colours on a larger needle, and this is much closer. I mean, the row count is still shorter, so I'm still getting more rows to the 4 inches than is called for in the pattern, but the stitch count is now spot on, which for the Wellsbury sweater I think is going to be more crucial. This is a sweater that is a very interesting construction. I'll put a picture up of on screen for you with the designer's pattern picture. So you knit one side of, like, half of the back, and then the other half of the back, so you can fade your colours in different directions, and you do the same on the front, and then you've got these faded sleeves. So it's an interesting construction. It is mostly stocking stitch. There's not a huge amount of shaping in it. So you shape, when you cast on for the front and the back, you do a staggered start shaping effectively. So you're knitting in the flat rather than the round knitting with short rows. Because of the way it's constructed, you couldn't have that sort of two-way street happening with the colours if you were knitting it in the round in the same way. So there's not so much in the way of shaping. So that'll be a good sit and knit and read project. I haven't started it yet, mostly because I don't want to have too many things on the go at once. So I want to get probably the socks done before I start that. I might wait until I finish the barricade, but I don't want to rush the barricade either, so we'll see. So Tulsa's coming first because it's a summer project, or a project to wear in the summer, whereas the Wellsbury is more of an autumn-winter wearing sweater, so I've got more time for that. So that's all the knitting sort of stuff that's coming up. Still need to find a pattern for that noble though, because that's bugging me. I really want to use the yarn. It's beautiful yarn. This lamb's wool and cashmere, stunning yarn. So I don't know what I was thinking when I ordered the yarn, because there's no way I would have had enough yardage. Not a chance. When I was ordering my mohair for the Wellsbury though, I did look at the sale section in Wool Warehouse. Now Wool Warehouse doesn't just sell yarn, they sell quilting cottons and embroidery stuff as well. So they are quite a good sort of fibre-y craft supplier. Hope this tangling line, end isn't annoying people. Let me tuck that away so that doesn't annoy people, because it might start to annoy me soon. Okay, so I bought a couple of embroidery things. One to do fairly soon. I say embroidery and cross stitch. One of these projects is to do fairly soon, and the other one is to just sort of sit around until I'm ready for it. So the one to sit around until I'm ready for it is this Zen embroidery project. So with this, you get a printed fabric. So this is the tree design that I've got. So it's just called tree. So 10 by 10 inch square bit of canvas with the design printed on it. And you just, when you feel like it, pick up a needle and thread and put some stitches in however way you want, in whatever colour you want. So I thought that would be a nice little sort of palette cleansy type project between things. So I've got a few bigger projects on the go. Got some large cross stitches on the go. I've got embroidered hand stitched top that I really ought to get on with so that I can have it for the summer. So yeah, so in between the bigger projects, so putting a few stitches in this, a little mindless little bit of stitching, I thought would be quite handy. So at some point they'll get done. No rush, no deadline on that at all whatsoever. It's literally just hanging out until I'm ready for it. But like I say, it was in the sale. So the other thing that I got in the sale on Wool Warehouse was this cross stitch kit. So this has Ada in it. So we're working with 14 count Ada, so 14 holes to the inch. And this is a set of spring decorations. So they've got daffodils on and that sort of stuff, which I'm filming this on St David's Day, so nice and appropriate. So the idea for this is to make these up to hang on my white secondary that I got for Christmas, which hopefully you can just about see in the edge of shot. And we're not packing away the white light up tree. The idea is to decorate it for the different seasons. But I don't have any spring decorations, so that's what this is for. So this will be a much sooner project. They're not big little decorations. I'm hoping they're not too big anyway, because I don't want to weigh the tree down. But they shouldn't take me too long to do. So yeah, so we'll get that done. It's got everything I need in here. Wadding, fabric, the threads to stitch it with. So again, that's going to be a nice little simple of an evening palette cleanser type project when I'm not reading, because I can't cross stitch and read. That would be a bad plan. I'd stab myself. So, and then I'd have blood on my project. Okay, so that's my plans, that's my works in progress, so that's my finished object, and that's it for today. So thank you for spending time with me this week. I hope to see you in the next one, but in the meantime, there is this video here that may be of interest to you. I will see you next time, but until then, happy crafting and bye-bye for now.